And so my hope today is that I share a little bit about who he is, but the fun parts. My dad had an amazing sense of humor. There was not everybody that knows him knows that. So here's some wisdoms from Dad. He helped people find Jesus. And the way he did that is driving age in Brazil is 21, but his dad allowed him to drive his siblings at 14 to go to school. So my dad took full advantage of that, and he helped his siblings learn how to trust in Jesus and ask to go to heaven. Like, if something happens to me, if I die in this car, I want to be sure that I go to heaven. So that's how my dad's siblings got to meet Jesus, because they knew that the back seat of the car was the most dangerous place in the world. And they will tell you stories about that. My dad had a YOLO lifestyle, just live today as if it was your last day. He built and he raised go-karts, those little wood, back in the day, nothing was electronic, everything was by hand. So pieces of wood with wheels go down the hill and hope you don't die or lose a leg or something like that. So he has lots of scars to prove that he did that. But then he dated my mom was like, okay, that's enough of that. I want to have a husband that will last a long time with limbs, right? So he stopped doing that early in their life. And we, as children, we remember driving. My dad loved driving and driving fast. So if you ever rode in the car with him, he was a fast driver. So we loved driving places. We never flew. We always took our car. And my parents had a station wagon. They would lay the back seat down and put things there for us to take a nap and go to sleep. But my dad liked to pass people. And so we would always pray that we would be able to make it in front of the car before the oncoming traffic would all kill us all. So that was a great memory from when we were children. Anybody? Do we have an amen from the first row? My dad was also a self-starter. Nobody told my dad how to do, what to do. He was the boss, and he knew better than everybody else. He never read manual. When you buy things, it comes with a manual. He just, like, the first thing that he tossed out of the box was, I'm going to figure this out by myself. And he taught us to never read manuals. We always knew how to figure. Look at the picture. I'm sure you can put it together just fine with the picture. No manual necessary. And I'm this day today the same way. But my mom might not like that I say this right now, so good luck. Pray for me. But my dad didn't like his bosses very much. So if there were two micromanagers, or they were on top of him, or they were stifling his creativity, or what he wanted to do, he just would quit. He would just come home and say, I quit. And my mom was like, okay, guys, what are you going to do, right? So then the next day he would get a better job, or he would start something new. My dad was never one to listen to his bosses. So if you knew my dad, that's how it goes. He was a great storyteller. He had that deep voice, that radio personality voice, and he tells us the stories of when when my two aunts were born, he was 11. And you guys saw hammocks, right, on the pictures the whole time. But the hammock was the thing. Everybody has a hammock. His mom had a hammock, and hammock was the place that you go after school. And so he would sit on the hammock with one sister on one side and the other sister, and they were toddlers. And he would just sway them and tell them stories until they fell asleep, and that was quiet in the house. So that was, he was a great storyteller. But my husband has a great saying that he says all the time. He could also be long-winded. Okay, I have an amen from the front row here. And so when he would tell a story, you could put a timer on, and he could go on and on and on. And so Ray would say, okay, and to make a long story longer, and that was his saying, to make a long story longer, and he would finish the story that way. I'm trying to go through. Okay, if you want to be like my dad, you need to be a MacGyver. How many of you remember that show? Okay. My dad used to say that for you to run through life, you have to have wire, pliers, and duct tape. you could do anything with those things. He could fix anything. And as he got older, he got a little more sophisticated, so his toolbox had a little more, but they're all about the same thing. More pliers, more wires, and more duct tape. That's pretty much all that's in his toolbox right now. Also, if you're single or you want to have a mate and you don't go to church, that's a place to be. That's how he found my mom. But he had a great idea. He sang in the choir. Because if you're sitting like this, you don't see the people behind you, right? So he decided to sing in the choir because when new flesh came into the church, he could see it right away. He could take first picks. And that's how he met my mom. He locked eye contact, and he, of course, made his parents go talk to her. And we are here because of that one day. My dad, we were talking to Pastor Mike in the front there. My dad was a genius. And I don't mean that to be nice. My dad was really, his mind worked in a level that it was hard to have a conversation, technical conversation, because he would say it, and I would look at him. He would say with the lettuce face, like, because he would say things, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get it. So, but at the same time, he made us feel so welcome. He lowered himself to our level to talk little things. He hated small talk, but he was a good storyteller, so he made us feel welcome, and he made you feel welcome. So if you walked into his house, you get coffee, pão de queijo, you'd sit down on a hammock, he would tell stories, and you were a part of the family. Nobody felt unwelcome when Dad was talking. And so those are some of his wisdoms. Now, I do have, okay, so I wrote a bunch of stuff, but he built everything for us. 1996, computers were not a thing. He built one for Ray and I, and he drove to California to deliver this. He wanted to spend time with us. That's what it was.